Oh.
What's wrong, Lizzie?
My earphones.
Oh.
I forget they're not in the drawer. I was wondering why I couldn't hear the music. I didn't have my earphones.
Like, huh? What?
Like, what? What?
Hey guys, welcome into the show before the show. Hey guys, Joe, do you pick me up when the mic's like this right here? Does it sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay. Lizzie, people are talking about you looking dialed up. Did you get dialed up for Eric Greitens today?
No, I got all dialed up because I have dirty hair.
You is that tiger print?
Yeah,
You have a lot of tiger
I
print.
love it.
Don't
I
you?
lo-
I'm
absolutely-
starting to see that. It
I
looks good
love
on you.
tiger print. I love it. No, if you see my hair, I mean, just as since I don't have my hair and makeup person was absent today and my hair wasn't cleaned, I curl it real tight, and then that's just the trick of the trade. I learned that from my daughters, that if your hair is like not great and you can't do anything with it, then you curl it really tight. That's all that is. So if you see my hair really curly, it's because I didn't wash it.
Little cancel this fun fact.
Little fun fact. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, Brenda says that's what she does too. It's like a little trick I learned from my daughters. Like if you get up and you don't have your hair all washed real nice and pretty, you just curl it really tight. And then it's okay.
Hey guys, welcome to the show before the show. Got in a couple of minutes late today, so it's 8 o'clock already, unfortunately, but we'll let it go through just a couple minutes here. Everybody's talking about you looking great, Lizzie.
Oh, thank you, everyone.
Joe, the one shots look really good today, buddy. Did you do more work on them yesterday?
I did some adjustments to the lighting.
Yeah, the lighting
It
looks really
still
good.
seems a little grainy, but we can use them today and see what happens.
We're still in progress. You know, everybody likes to give their opinions on what looks good, what doesn't. Oh, we like old desk. Oh, we like the new lounge look. Oh, you should have the little tables at you in front of you, the little desktops, or you should have one big table. There's one thing for sure. Everybody has their own opinion.
That's right.
That is for sure. Like, subscribe, share the show. You know where to find us. Good morning, everybody. Glad everybody's in today. Let's see here. Okay, guys. Love the hair, Lizzie. It looks great. Good morning. Hey, Vic. You look like you're ready to start the show. I do. Thank you. Trying. We'll get things started here. Like, subscribe, share the show. Wait a second. What do we got there?
Do you need a water today?
Oh, crap. No, I got it. Thank you for asking, buddy.
Oh, okay. I
You're
didn't.
tired of me drinking your water. I get it.
No, I don't mind. I just was making sure you're set up before we roll.
All right, let's go ahead and start the show then. I was sorry. There was a breaking story that I just saw come down that I thought was very interesting.
Roll it.
Yeah, let's do that. Thank you, man. Hey guys, welcome into canceltheshow.com. I'm Vic Faust. Lizzie Sparks with her dirty, kinky, curly hair, she said, but
Yep.
It looks good. It looks like you went and had it done perfectly.
No, just did it with my curling iron this morning.
Pro Joe's here as well. That's her excuse. You look fantastic. No, I did not get a haircut. That's just, I've been running around sweating. I'm sure it's me just slapping the back. Whatever.
It's our dirty hair look, apparently.
Dirty hair. Mine's clean,
Yours is clean?
but
Okay.
I don't know, whatever the case. Hey guys, here Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Central and all the time on our website, canceltheshow.com. We love it when you jump in. News headlines, politics, cancel culture, education and news, the water cooler talk, whatever's going on. Of course, our free for all Fridays. We got it going on here today. All right, it is Tuesday, last day of April 30th already. Jump into our chat line as well. You can do that through a variety of platforms. We're on X, we're on Rumble, we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube and Cloud Hub. And of course, you can also catch us. Yeah, I got a new toupee. New toupee.
Your toupee looks nice
this
morning.
I'm not there yet.
Well,
not quite yet.
Well, it looks nice.
I hear they're expensive though. So anyway, we love it when you guys jump in. The chat line, you can also listen to us on Spotify, Google, Apple, several other places. You can check all that out at cancelthisshow.com. If you go to our website, we have merchandise. We also have a donate button to help our free speech platform, which is what we try to do different than anybody else. And of course, that's why you guys jump in today. Our video, our audio, our news headlines, and of course, our entertainment. And then you guys entertain us. And gosh, let's have a good 2 hours here till about 10 o'clock every day, Monday through Friday. All right, some of the big stories today coming up. We've got Eric Greitens on at 9. What are we talking to Eric about today? Just all things politics?
Yes, all things politics. We can ask him what he's been up to. But basically, what our listeners want to know is, what does he think about what's going on today with the border being open, with the college campuses going crazy? What's his opinion? What would he be doing differently if he was still the governor?
Oh, I do like that. That's true.
Yeah.
We're going to get into this here in just a second. The pro-Palestinian protest in some places gearing down, in other places gearing up, unfortunately, from that standpoint. The scenes appear to be getting worse. The White House isn't saying anything. Shocking video of a substitute teacher just beating the shit out of a student, like beating the crap out of him at school. Trying to find the backstory on that. The border's still wide open. We got lots of video there to show you. And of course, lots of other videos. Okay. There will be hell to pay from Derek Pratt. Thanks,
That's
guys.
right.
Appreciate it. All right. It is Tuesday. Let's start rocking and rolling today. Anything else that we have coming up today that we need to cover, Lizzie? I don't know. I'm just making sure. Like, subscribe, share the show.
There's always a bunch of stuff that we could talk about, but I think the fact that you don't wear a toupee is the top of the list.
Yeah. No, not yet.
Mm-hmm.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
I did have people in the past say, your hair looks like a toupee. I was like, no, come and grab it. There's no toupee. I promise you, it's all there. It's all good.
Mm-hmm.
We can have some fun. Just sit back, relax. It's going to be just fine.
Maybe we can have a listener come in and like they did with Donald Trump, and they always asked if his hair was real. Maybe a listener can rub their hands in your hair.
Mm-hmm. That would be a whole lot of fun, wouldn't it?
That would be a whole lot of fun.
We appreciate everybody jumping in with the show today. Thanks so much. Vic Faust, Lizzie Sparks, Projo in the house. Eric Greitens coming up at 9 o'clock. Remember, like, subscribe, share the show. Like, subscribe, share the show. Let people know what we're doing on all of those platforms, because it helps us get out to more people that we possibly can. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're gonna get into all the protests and stuff. This was something that just came out. I saw it this morning. I know a lot of people who are Democrats will say, just get over it. Nothing happened. But this is interesting. Once again, when it comes to the election, which is coming up, what is fair, what isn't. Georgia State Election Board has now been forced to admit in writing that Fulton County, quote, failed to upload and tabulate election results in their entirety in 2020.
Wow.
How the hell does that happen?
Yeah. How does that happen? Except for that it was on purpose.
But keep in mind, we keep seeing these stories day after day. Mainstream media won't tell you. The news stories won't tell you. The newspapers won't tell you. Many radio stations won't tell you. It happened.
Mm-hmm.
The irregularities, the illegal stuff happened day after day. And of course, you find out 2-3 years later, and it's like nothing. Doesn't matter.
They don't care. 2 minutes time has gone by.
And I know that many people get concerned that the big steal is in again, that it will be happening again, somehow, some way, because has much changed. I know the RNC, and we talked about this at the beginning of last week, said that they're going to be jumping in. They're going to try to be in every polling place. They're going to have video cameras. I don't know. I really don't know. I have no idea what to make of it. But all I know is illegal, dead, undocumented voters We're all over the place in 2020. Will that change in 2024? Voting systems went down. Tabulations not working all over the country. Maricopa County having to come clean. Fulton County having to come clean. And here we are again, over and over and over again. The stories don't stop. It could be the whole new steal again, but I don't know what to make of it. I just don't know where it's all headed. So anyway, that was a story that came out. We'll see where it goes. Anyway, Democrats say get over it. Republicans say, yep, we knew it was a steal. And here we are going into the 2024 election. Nobody cares. When I say nobody cares, what I mean is nobody cares about 2020 anymore, or at least that cares in a fact that it matters. So here we are, 2024. It's time to look forward. What the hell happens now when we move forward with 2024? Because I know people don't feel good.
We didn't do. People don't feel good about it. And we need to learn from what we now know. Most people don't know about the cheating. We think they do because it's the small group of very intelligent, enlightened people that understand that happened. Most people are just finding out, oh my gosh, the election was really stolen. They can really do that. So hopefully now they understand what's going on and we can stop some of the cheating.
Well, it's a story that we're going to continue to follow. It's a story that we're going to continue to push forward. As Glenn says, Trump was right again.
Yeah,
he was right. I'm sorry. And all he wanted in Georgia was to make sure they did the right deal. But of course, mainstream media, which is all left, is going to push a narrative where he had to get this many votes. Find the votes, because he knew what the truth was.
Yeah.
Hello. He knew what was going on. Trump's right again, and the left can't deal with it.
That's right. And
Trump deranged syndrome.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a shame because a lot of us already knew and we still care. And I said this literally when the cheating was happening. I was like, you guys, they're going to hold on for in between 2 to 3.5 years. And then they'll come out. Oh, yeah, you were right. There was cheating, but the damage was already done. They eventually tell us what they did. Look at the pandemic. A lot of us knew not to take that jab, not to do that. And they would tell us the truth 3 to 4 years later. But by then, the average person doesn't care. Okay, I had to live with that, but now I survived. Big deal. They keep doing that to us and give us the truth years later.
Breaking news. Thanks, guys. We appreciate it. Derek Pratt says that the Kansas City Chiefs have signed Taylor Swift's lapdog to a 2-year contract.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And apparently his brother has some gig on ESPN now too.
Oh yeah. His brother's good at that.
Yeah.
That stuff happens. You play a football game, career, you're good at it. He's entertaining. Their podcast was massive.
Yeah, they are entertaining. Whether you like them or not, they're entertaining.
Peg says, I can't wait to see that in writing. If you obtain that post, or please post, obtain what in writing?
Which thing?
Was that the story we were talking about?
I'm assuming she's talking about the cheating. I don't know.
Yeah. Josh Dunlap reported it this morning on Twitter, just to give you a heads up, if that helps you, or an X, to help you where all that situation goes. So yeah, that goes with Georgia. Once again, we'll see where we head into 2024. This is cancelthisshow.com. Please like, subscribe, share the show. Check out this. Guys, it's getting so bad again when it comes to these riots.
Mm-hmm.
And then they become riots. They have become riots. There are protests and there are riots, and then they all get lumped in together. Michelle says, you know what? I don't care about Taylor Swift and all that implies.
Yeah,
Derek's a big Kansas City Chiefs fan. That's why.
That's right.
We even said that.
And I know a lot of our listeners could care less about the Taylor Swift and stuff, but there is a few small minority of them that do care about it. There are some that care.
About the lapdog?
Yeah, they do care about the lapdog.
All right. I want to show this picture about what's happened each election year. And Joe can put up this full screen when he gets a chance. Just think back of what we've had each year when it comes to what we have had. In 2012, you had the Occupy Wall Street protest.
Mm-hmm.
2016, Antifa reared their ugly head. And of course, Colin Kaepernick was kicking off all the BLM BS.
Yes.
Then in 2020, BLM was still rocking and rolling, but then of course Antifa was starting to do all their stuff again.
Mhm.
And then now in 2024, what do we have? The pro-Palestine protest.
Mhm.
Isn't it interesting how
Yep.
this is happening in election years?
Yes.
Again,
Again.
get your mind off of everything else that you should be thinking about, and
That's
you have
right.
this coming up.
Mhm. It's so
It's
obvious.
the stuff is so planned. And Projo, if you could put that back up again, I would be grateful because it just makes me go, oh, okay, look at that. Occupy Wall Street, rise of Antifa, and who do you think is putting all this together?
We know who's putting it all
Who's that?
together. It's Soros and those sort of people. It's not just Soros, but it's all the uniparty left, whole world order, World Economic Forum, all those people that Soros embodies. It's all planned. It's completely planned. And somebody was saying to me yesterday, you know, this is exactly like what happened in 1968. I said, this is not exactly like what happened in 1968 with the college campuses problems.
I think
then.
it's much different.
I think it's much different too. And people are comparing it. I said back then it was more organic. People didn't want to go to war. They were trying to avoid the draft. It kind of happened because of the civil rights, you know, things that were going on back then. Now, this is completely different. That wasn't necessarily to ruin our country. This is completely planned. And it looks like it's from within. And a lot of it is from within, but it's completely different. This is planned, organized. There's nothing organic about it. I think some of us thought back during the Ferguson riots that it was organic. No, it wasn't. They were literally waiting till the very next white police officer was involved with a shooting with a black male. It could have happened anywhere. It wasn't necessarily they targeted Ferguson. It was going to be anywhere else that had happened. And they had these kids that were paid on buses ready to go. But a lot of us didn't know that then.
Joe, can you pop that graphic up again? I'm trying to remember what 2020 was again, because it makes me think back. You're right. Okay, because they had the BLM's Apex. That's what we had from
Yes.
there. And then you had everybody being paid for.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically where we're, right? I mean, bought and paid for. I don't know if everybody is bought and paid for, but what I do know is that some are, the organizers, to make sure that they get everybody out there, to make sure that they have people to get all riled up.
That's right.
And they're professionals at it. And paid actors. We've seen that happen too.
Well, and I would like to see when Eric Greitens comes on, the thing that we're talking about. I want to hear him tell us, how does he think this is? What does he think about Soros? And many people don't know Eric Greitens. He's Jewish. So I would like to know what he thinks about these pro-Palestinian, you know, people that are going on our college campuses. Does he think that this is different and more significant than, say, the BLM things going on with Ferguson and Colin Kaepernick?
This is cancelthisshow.com. We appreciate your comments as well. When you put them into the chat line, we try to get back to them. That's what we do. We respond to people. Lizzie's responding. I'm responding. Robert says the ones not bought and paid for are blackmailed. What do you mean by blackmailed from that standpoint? Annette, of course, said, I thought BLM started in Ferguson.
Most people did. Most people did. But you were right when it was, there was 4 years earlier when it was Occupy Wall Street. But we all didn't understand, because it didn't really affect us, that it was the same people. So most people thought the riots happened with Ferguson, but it actually happened 4 years earlier.
It did. That's when it kind of started to kick off.
Yes. Yes.
What we saw happen in Ferguson was, I guess you could say, the blow up.
The blow up. Yes. And it was really bad. And it was, a lot of people keep saying it happened in Ferguson, when in actuality, most of it happened in Delwood. And if you're not around here, you don't even know how many lies they were telling about where it all even happened to.
Man, it just.
Yeah.
So we see what's happening now. History repeating itself, as Chris. Yeah, we do. We see it. But I think I do believe it's getting worse. Roland says basically the same. Uninformed, typically young people or leftists in general.
That's for sure.
Unhappy with themselves. They are indoctrinated and have no idea why they are doing what they are doing outside of any actors.
Correct.
Tanya says same. Antifa, BLM. Donna says BLM used the Act Blue to raise their money. And then what's interesting is BLM is, it just fell by the wayside because of their corrupt leadership.
Correct. They got caught when the leaders of it have 2 big mansions in LA. So most people at that point went, okay, we were had. So many people that really believed that we needed to sympathize with Black people who are still being oppressed when they realized that's not even what it was at all.
And it's so frustrating to watch what's happening because it's just stupid. Case in point, actually, first of all, let's show you the video from VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University, because now you have people, let's one up things. Let's do whatever we can. Look at VCU last night. These are turning into riots. They are illegal. And these evildoers are showing who they are. We've been talking about this for 2 weeks. They're showing exactly who they are. There's no surprise at what's happening. I mean, look at the video. We talk over it here. You see what's happening. You hear what's happening. I mean, look at that. Kids, and look at them. Look, I mean, that's illegal. Those are criminals who belong in a cell with some very evil people to teach them a little bit about life and what evil really is.
Well, and you see a lot of these riots, a lot of them have masks on. And I know a lot of people think that all I do is bash masks, but the masks were all part of a longer term plan.
They're cowards.
They are.
If you're out, you're a coward.
You are.
You're a flat out coward. You're a coward. You represent a family. Your family who has to look at you knows that you're a coward. That's because they're afraid.
They are.
They're afraid. Oh, I want to go out here and be Billy Badass, but I don't want anybody to see my face. It's the same thing in the Middle East with these terrorists. They cover their faces because they're cowards.
That's right.
They praise Allah and they're cowards. Yep. They mask their face because they're cowards. You have coward after coward after coward out here. And I don't care if they're Middle Eastern, they're American, French, German, black, white. I don't give a damn if they're out there doing this with, I mean, look at that.
That's right.
Unprovoked, out there doing their bullshit again.
Yeah.
And then it's an election year.
And it's always an election year.
So, and it should say, get the hell away from the left. These are your Democrats right here.
This is a Democrat.
These people are out there saying, hey, Trump, rally America, red, white, and blue. God bless America. No, it's death to America.
These are actually insurrectionists.
Yeah, these are pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas, pro-Hezbollah, pro-terrorist. That's exactly what they are, cowards.
Yes, they're definitely cowards. And a lot of them just little brats that mommy and daddy have always paid for everything. And mommy and daddy are also very Democrat. So they probably drink a lot of soy and they're big sissies and they send them off to college and they feel entitled and they feel emboldened, but they're not brave. They're really not. They stand for nothing.
These are younger people. And even if they're not college students, which many aren't.
Many are not.
They're lost. They need God in their lives. They don't have any purpose. They're looking for something in life.
Yes.
And that's where it all comes to play. We want to lash out. We want to come after whoever we possibly can because we don't like ourselves. People who are comfortable with themselves,
they're not doing that.
And are generally good people, are not out looking for trouble.
That's right. We have
these little assholes are looking for trouble.
They are.
They're criminals. That doesn't mean they can't change and become good people, but they're not good people. They're just not. They weren't raised right. Their parents didn't raise them right. Because I can tell you this much, I promise you, and I guarantee none of my kids would ever be involved in something like this.
Correct.
And you know why I know? Because I know how they were raised. So this is also an example of who parents are and not raising the kids how they should be raised.
Correct.
And it doesn't matter the propaganda and deflection. It's all out there. You got to teach kids how to not get caught up in the crap and the lies and the propaganda. Because when woke mob comes, I know it's easy. That's why you have to have tough kids. And not only is this wrong, it's illegal. This crap continues to happen. It is illegal as possible. But I guess here's the one thing, Lizzie, that I love about this. I hate what's happening and all these cowards who cover their face.
Yes.
Oh, we're so tough and we stand for something. We're going to cover our face. And it has nothing to do with COVID.
It has nothing to do with it.
It's because they're cowards. They're cowards. That's how you know. These men and women, coward, coward, coward. They're the weakest people on the face of the planet who want to go do this and cause problems. Okay, on top of it all. And then this is what makes me happy about seeing all this. the pro-Palestinian quote protest, their message, you see who these people are.
Correct.
They are showing you who they are. These are not good people. Ceasefire. Oh, feel sorry for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's all bullshit. Cowards.
It is. And the good thing about identifying them and the way that you're identifying them, Vic, is a lot of us have college-age students, and we can say to our kids that these kids have existed for a long time, but they didn't have masks on their face and they weren't doing all the rioting every 4 years. Now, you know, that's exactly who you don't date. You don't date one of them. You don't, because they're cowards. They hide their face. They're weak. Look at the video that we showed yesterday. He was all big and tough until the police officer picked him up, and then he's screaming for his mommy. That's who these kids are. That's who they are.
Oh, that's right.
He's hurt me. He's hurt me.
Oh, you're hurting me. You're hurting me. You're hurting me.
Mm-hmm. That's the problem. He wasn't hurt enough as a child.
And here's the other reason with these pro-Palestinian protesters, which is why the majority of them are just fake. They're phonies. They're cowards. They weren't raised by good parents. And here's why. They continue to do what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the videos are showing who they are. And they continue to show up. They're not trying. They won't look at facts. They deny what happened October 7th. They refuse to accept history. They refuse to look at facts. And then now they're trying to hurt police officers. They're trying to hurt campuses. These bullshit artists took over a hall at Columbia University. It continues there. This is what democratic, liberal, progressive ideas get you. It gets you a bunch of bullshit over and over and over again. There's no good that comes out of any of it. Nothing.
I mean,
all it does is get you a bunch of
bullshit.
Yeah,
that's right. It gets you a bunch of bullshit. And because what good, I mean, ask a student, pretend you have a niece or a nephew or somebody that does that. Get them on the phone and say, what is your goal here? Why are you doing it? And even if they can answer something that makes sense to them, but not to you, okay, what is your end game? Most of them can't tell you.
Yeah, there's pictures of these terrorists at Columbia University busting through windows, busting through doors. Horrible. I mean, one of the worst scenes that we could ever imagine. This is historic. This bullshit has not happened on college campuses anywhere, ever. And they think they're so cool. They're anti-Semitic. They're hate-filled people. They want hate. They're not about love, peace. They're, you do our way or we hurt you. And I hate to see what I see, but I'm glad the videos are there to show people, because anybody with common sense in America knows that they're cowards, that they're criminals, that they're animals, and that they're really not half as smart as they think they are.
Correct. And look at these parents.
And Columbia University is even worse. Yeah, but what would you expect from a woman who grew up in the Middle East? She's Egyptian and she's an anti-Semitic.
Of course she is.
And how do we say that? Because of what she has allowed to happen on campus. She hasn't stopped it. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Lizzie, from that standpoint.
Well, it's no big deal. It's just when you say to these kids and you show these people what's going on, and you go to Columbia University, those parents are paying, I don't know, what did you say yesterday?
It was close to 90.
Oh, close to 90. Okay. Do you want to send your kid for $90,000 a year or student loans? A lot of parents don't pay for it. It's student loans. For this, you can't even go to class, regardless of whether you're Jewish or not, because if it's as bad as the videos are showing, which I think it's even worse than the videos are showing, you don't want your kid on the campus.
From the chat line, Anthony says, these commies are really bad when even Tim Pool is now saying arrest them all. They all should be arrested. We can't arrest enough of them. The other thing that's happening at Columbia, as Glenn says too from the chat line, and we appreciate you jumping in on the platform for the people here, the podcast platform, is you guys can jump in all over the place, is you got faculty standing right next to them.
Well, and you know what?
Fire their asses because they're cowards as well. And I hate to say this, I saw it even, and I'm old, when I was back in school, faculty turning very liberal.
Yes.
And trying to indoctrinate kids. It happens at almost every freaking university. It's sad. It does.
It does. But, we know right here in our own town, and we talked about it yesterday, Washington U, they handled it much different. They started arresting people, getting people off. And one of them was an alderman from the city of St. Louis, Megan Green, and now she's banned from the campus and she's an adjunct professor.
Yeah, too bad, so sad. Go get a life.
Go get a life.
You shouldn't have been out there doing what you're doing with fake pretenses, with fake information, lies, breaking. You can't break laws. There has to be law and order.
Mm-hmm.
What if I came to your house and started assaulting you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What if that happened?
Yeah.
If you're one of these cowards that wears mask on your face. Cowards, cowards, cowards.
This might be mean for me to say, but these universities...
Say it. It's not mean, whatever you're going to say.
These universities have to deal with it. They created this mess. I'm not saying that they have it coming, but they sort of did. They created these little monsters all the way back from the 50s and the 60s, and now their college campuses are a complete train wreck. You know what? Deal with it. You guys need to deal with it.
I feel bad for the people. I know a guy, a Michigan doctor. He did my MCL surgery years ago. His son plays football at Columbia University. He did not raise his son to be anything like this. That's a kid who I feel bad for. And I do feel bad for the students who are not participating or part of this. And what we're being told is many of the first people that went out there were not students. They were people, actors paid, who went in and then tried to infiltrate and recruit and do whatever they could to get a person here to come into the campus and start all the bullshit that's going on right now. This is very concerning, but guess what? It is what it is. Tear the damn university down. If Columbia won't do it, tear the shit down. Mm-hmm. Have fun, animals. The problem is there are too many good people there who I don't want to see hurt, especially Israelis, because remember, these are anti-Semitic hating Jews. They hate the Jews.
Yeah, they absolutely do hate the Jews. And there's a lot of Jewish parents then should ask for a refund from their college tuition.
But keep in mind, if they stop doing this, would you see any problems from Jewish students? No.
The Jewish people are
Jewish students aren't out rioting, picking up arms, throwing rocks. By the way, in these encampments, they're also finding baseball-sized rocks now.
Yeah, they are.
That they're trying to attack people with. They're bringing Gaza to America. And Biden's sitting back allowing it happen. By the way, the White House has stood back and not really done anything. Why hasn't Joe Biden come out and said anything?
These are his voters. He can't piss them off. I mean, as weird as that sounds, Joe Biden isn't going to say one thing about it, or he'll just say mumbly mouth, mealy mouth thing about it, because this is his base. If he says anything to them, there's already a group of anti-Palestinians that are already mad at him because they think he's not doing enough. This is his voters. So he's going to do nothing about this. He's not going to say a word.
Yesterday, KJP was asked about this, and she had a quote. I mean, she had a statement. It's a sad statement about what she said, but they were dodging the legitimate questions. Here's what she did say. She says, the president has always been clear that while Americans have the right to peacefully protest, he stands squarely against any rhetoric, violent rhetoric, any hate threats, and physical intimidation and hate speech. She said that he says there's no place for anti-Semitism on college campuses or anywhere else. Quote, it's a painful moment. We get that, but it is a painful moment that Americans are dealing with. And free expression has to be done within the law. Yeah, and none of this is being done within the law. And we're going to continue to be very clear about that. So that's what KJP said. However, she did not answer the question about whether Biden was satisfied with how universities are handling the situation. She just walked off. She dodged it. That's not what you do as the leader of the country. You specifically come out and say, Columbia University, you need to stop this right now. But they don't care. Joe's lost. Ice cream, kids, sniffing, everything else that he does or doesn't do. So what you don't say says a whole lot. Thank God we had Donald Trump coming out and speaking squarely against it. And hell, even turncoat Mike Johnson came out and said something last week, Friday. Even went to Columbia University. And Columbia hasn't gotten any better. And then now, because they're trying to negotiate. They're trying to negotiate.
You can't negotiate.
We're gonna negotiate now. Joe, you can go to Two Shot, buddy. We're going to negotiate with these students. We're going to give them what they want because now they want amnesty. We want amnesty for all of our protesters. We want amnesty. Megan says from the chat line, if this was anti-gay, you better believe she would have said more. Great point.
Yes.
If this was anti-black, if this was anti-Hispanic, think about that. Switch it around. Everything else would be called out.
That's right.
But if it's anti-Jew, we're going to allow it.
That's right.
We're not going to say anything. If it's anti-transgender, oh my God, bring in the National Guard because it's anti-Jew.
That's exactly right. They're showing us
And anybody on any media outlet that does not call this out like this, look at them, look at their past, look at who they are, and shame on them. And you should probably stop taking any sort of news or entertainment from them because they're not being real, they're not being honest, and they're certainly not coming at anything with a heart.
Well, they don't mention anything about race. Even people that are Republicans, conservatives, they don't go to the race card like we're saying. We're literally saying these people are Jewish and most of them are lighter white skinned. And that's okay to be white people. That's okay. And it's okay, definitely okay to have Jewish people. But like you said, if they are black or brown skinned, transgender or gay, then all hell would come out.
Yeah. Do something, universities. Start banning professors. This stops real fast. I promise you. WashU, I credit them. They banned 6 faculty members
They sure did.
from contact with students after mass arrest.
Yep.
Kids are just trying to go to school.
Right. And they didn't even care that one of them is an alderman and one of them is a presidential candidate there at Washington U.
Oh, Jill Stein.
Yeah, Jill Stein. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, so they have, quote, high profile St. Louis or national people, and they didn't care.
Well, the final totals came out. They arrested 100. They arrested 100 people at Washington University.
That's wonderful.
Do we have any other issues going on at WashU now?
Nope.
No. Arrest these little bastards. They're evildoers. And there is nothing wrong with us saying that. It is not right or fair or just for the other paying, I repeat, paying peaceful students at the universities. But at the end of the day, I care about those kids, but at the end of the day, I could give a shit. Tear your freaking schools down.
Right.
Your East Coast liberal, even WashU, tear them down.
Yeah.
Tear them down. Have at it.
That's what needs to happen, actually. I mean, people will think I'm nuts when I say that. These universities need to be torn down to their core. And just the same way as DESE, which is the Department of Education. I mean, we can credit that with Jimmy Carter. These things need to be torn down and start over with American patriotic principles, period. Or this is what we get. This is what we got, is people who absolutely hate America. That's what this is all about. That little sticker thing that you put up earlier, how it's happening every 4 years. This is about, I hate America. I hate what it stands for. We're going to tear it down to its core. And until we tear it down the other way, this is what we got.
Joe, do we still have that up or did you delete that because we have so many videos and full screens?
I've got it.
I just wanted to, Lizzie brought it. I just wanted to refer to it again, just to show people. Don't forget what happens. Bought and paid for, organized all over the place. Let's create controversy. Let's create confusion. I still don't think this is the big, quote, black swan event of 2024.
Wait, which video? I'm sorry.
No, the full screen of 2012 or 24.
The timeline.
The presidential years. Just look at this again. Look at that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Just think of Occupy Wall Street protest 2012, rise of Antifa protest. Colin Kaepernick kicks off BLM in 2016. By the way, and you can keep this up, Joe, I've said it before in the show, but I'll say it again because I know we have a new audience. I know a football player, and I'm not saying the names because I was told the story, who was on the same team with Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick was pissed because he wasn't going to start. So he went over and he didn't intentionally do the kneeling. He was just pissed and he went over and sat by himself. But cameras saw him and they assumed that he was pissed or he had an issue with the flag. So then guess what happened? The very next week, he was kneeling.
Yeah.
He lost his starting job. He was throwing a fit. And I've been told this specifically by a teammate and everybody knew it. but he needed hype because he was no longer a good quarterback.
Yes.
He was no longer good enough to start in the NFL.
Mhm.
He got beat out, and I'm not.
A lot of people wondered if that
And a
was
lot of
the
people
case.
know who the quarterback is that beat him out, but I can't get into all of that right now.
No. Well, and the reason why you see in
But
2016, when you see this here, that's
in
captured.
Alpha, 2020, BLM's Apex, Antifa runs interference, and then of course the pro-Palestinian
Mhm.
protest right now. Sorry, Lizzie, just so I could finish the screen.
Well, no, and
Okay, and now.
he knew it because prior to that, in what was it, 2014? Was it 14 when Ferguson happened? So that just was perfect for him to use that, even if he wasn't the one that said it.
But don't ever think that Colin Kaepernick came up with it by himself.
He
It
did not.
happened by chance
Mhm.
because he was on the sideline pouting. But then when people thought, oh, he's standing for something,
Mhm.
and then he started to get attention. You mean I can get attention now?
Uh-huh.
I can have a cause. I can make money. And then you saw that for the last 5 years, we saw this bullshit video of him throwing footballs. Oh, give him a chance. He wasn't good enough. And anybody that knows anything about football knows he was a terrible teammate and he could not freaking throw that football like he used to. He
Mhm.
just wasn't a good leader.
Yeah, and and most coaches,
He needed to make money. It became a profession to
Yeah.
divide in America.
and that's terrible, and shame on him for that, because most people do not want the temper tantrum kid on their team. Parents think it's cute when their kid isn't play good, and of course, little Johnny is the best ever, so they promote them throwing a temper tantrum, but coaches don't like that.
Glenn from the chat line wanted to make sure that everybody knew that he was also raised by an affluent white family.
Yes.
Who he then turned his back on as well.
Mhm.
Just like the Blind Sides, Michael Oher did,
That's right.
accusing the family of stealing money. And guess what? Oh, it's amazing how in the media, when all the evidence came out, guess what? Oh, the Tuohys were so bad to Michael Oher now.
Uh-huh.
Have you heard me? It's been crickets with that story, hasn't it?
That's right.
You know why it's been crickets? Because he lied.
He lied.
He wanted more money. Now, that doesn't mean that affluent families shouldn't help kids that are desperate if it's on their heart to do it. But just know, and you've got to have unconditional love when you do it, that these kids can then turn around
Yes.
and bite the hand that fed them and pulled them out of whatever despair they were in.
And often they do that. Often they do that because there's someone that's telling them your parents should have given you more money. Your parents should have given you more money. And sometimes it's the bio family that was a piece of trash. And that's why they ended up with the affluent person's family. And the family that was a piece of trash is then the one that makes them do that.
These things can happen. And not to get off base with all of that, but we were talking about what's happening with these protests, with the kind of people, what they're doing, the universities, they can stop all this. I'm just glad that the videos are starting to show what's actually happening. Check out this. Fox did a report from what was happening. Brian Yennis, I do like him as a reporter. I think he does a pretty good job. He's all over the place, breaking down some of these protests, the rioting, the illegal activity that's going on over and over and over again. So here's Brian Yennis with this report. I just thought it was good. And then we're going to show you video, so don't go anywhere, of who these kids really are. And they want to act like they're so sweet and peaceful. Watch what they're doing to a young Jewish kid who's just trying to go to school. We'll show you that video in a second. But first, here is the Fox report.
Look, I think 2020 was unique, and that summer was something else. I think you had the entire city that was up for grabs at that moment, and it was an intense moment that was happening nationwide. We are seeing nationwide protests. I think the thing that I can say is that, obviously this is happening on one campus in this city, but then when I take a step back and realize all of these universities across the country are getting their messages from what's happening here at Columbia. This was the first major protest in this that launched all of the other protests that we're seeing nationwide. So I think it's incredibly important to see how the police and the NYPD react to this, how this administration reacts, and it's going to be important to see how far these students are willing to go. If there's anything we learned from 2020, it's that people were willing to go as far as the police and society was allowing them to go. And there was true lawlessness there until there was finally a crackdown of sorts. But that became an out-of-control situation. And I fear here that could happen if the administration continues to say that they're going to do something, and in the end, they don't. And then at that moment, that is when I feel they're going to put the NYPD in a particular situation where they're going to have to go in there on a university campus and deal with students, mostly students, right before commencement. So I think the university finds himself in a really tough situation. This is a major escalation to occupy a building. And I think at this moment, it'll be fascinating to see what this school does. An incredibly important next few hours here this morning on how the school reacts, because this is another. It's seemingly they've only been emboldened thus far by the university's actions.
Brian, you nailed it. This will go as far as the adults in the room, as the leaders allow it to go. We saw in 2020 it went too far. This seems like it's headed down that same path. Brian Yennis, amazing coverage. We appreciate it.
Okay, you get an idea what was happening as you do a report. It's also important to know, before we show you the next video, and I know Robert brings up a point here, and if we have Jewish people who are listening or want to chime in, Robert says that 80% of Jews are Ashkenazim worldwide, but in Israel, 55% are Sephardim. So do we really know what we are talking about when we say Jewish? Okay, fair point. We try to educate everybody and we talk. Let's break this down to the barest minimum first, and then we can go back to what you're saying. I don't care what kind of Jew you are. What I'm talking about, what this conversation here is about, is regarding what's happening in the United States at campuses to people who are, quote, going after Jews, the anti-Semites that we see, the anti-Semitism that we see and witness. We can break down Jews and who is who and what is what. But what I'm saying in America right now, what's being done to, quote, Jews on campus is not legal and it's not right. So therefore, I don't understand your point from that. We want people to jump in on the chat line. We do. Bring us your point.
We do.
But to differentiate between the types of Jews right now and what's happening from an unlawful standpoint in America on campuses, I don't think there's a connection.
I don't think so either. And anyone that I know, including Ben on here, he's saying it's all the same. Every Jewish person that I've talked to said it doesn't matter what kind of Jew it is. It absolutely doesn't. They're targeting any kind of Jew. And that's the worst of it. It doesn't matter what kind of Jew you are. If you're a kid and you happen to be Jewish, even if you're not practicing Jewish, you are getting treated like an absolute criminal. And yet you're just innocently going to school. And these people are just animals.
Megan, great point. Also co-host here on the show at times. From the river to the sea covers them all. Once again, from the river to the sea covers them all. Just remember that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that's basically saying an annihilation of Jews.
That's right. And Brenda's saying most people don't know the difference anyway. And these people that are protesting, they don't know the difference.
Well, we want people to come in the chat line, say what you want. We try to have these conversations. There's no holds barred. I just don't know. I mean, I think that's a topic for another day, but I'm glad that we had a couple.
I'm glad that he brought it up because it may be a good topic to bring up because we're just talking in generalities and he's getting specifics and we probably do need to talk about that.
But when it comes to the anti-Semitism that we see now, it does not matter. Oh, he says, Vic, I was responding to a chat on Benjamin Netanyahu and The Hague. Okay. All right.
But I'm still glad you brought that up because there are some people that are saying there are different kinds of Jews and one Jew is being targeted more than another.
Well, I've also heard that when people try to break down Jews, that one sect of Jew, I've heard this conspiracy theory out there is the most evil Jewish sect, so to speak, on the planet.
Yeah,
I've seen those things out there, that they're controlling the world, that they're causing all the problems. Ben says, Ben is Jewish, by the way, one of the owners of Winty's and Winty's Roadhouse. He says the only difference is your point of origin, European or Mediterranean. But does it get into a point of where it mixes on what culturally they think or how they act or who they side with from that standpoint? Landon says the Rothschild Jews. From that standpoint, some of the Jews marched with BLM, according to Donna. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing:
they did. A lot of Jewish people,
but we can't. But you know what? But it's interesting.
But now I think they should.
But you know what? There's Christians who called themselves Christians who marched with BLM.
You're exactly right. You're lots of Christians and a lot of
Baptist Christians, Catholic Christians, non-denominational Christians, and guess what? There's people on all those sites that will vote for Joe Biden.
Yeah, I don't get that. I really don't. I mean, make this make sense to me.
Ben says, not this one.
And I'm not sure if he's talking about that he's not going to vote for, Joe Biden, or if he's not marching in one of those. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I get people that are angry and they want to march, but I still keep asking someone, make these marches make sense to me. No one has ever been able to make any sense to me, these marches. Nothing. It's all propaganda, and we know it. We know it.
This is canceltheshow.com. Please like, subscribe, share the show. We are big on X and Rumble and Facebook and Cloud Hub and YouTube. You can also catch us on our audio platforms at Apple, Spotify, Google. We appreciate you jumping into the live cast. We're here Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Central, and all the time on our website, canceltheshow.com. Please jump in. We have a donation button if you like what we do. Anything helps with our free speech here. We have a beautiful studio. We produce a lot of content and information. It costs money. And of course, we love to come to you guys on a daily basis. So any sort of connections, if you know of national advertisers that would like what we do, let us know. We're newer to the game when it comes to the podcasting show, but you guys have jumped in. We've done it organically, and we're grateful for you guys coming in, supporting, sharing our show, liking it, and of course, giving us ideas. Share your knowledge, share your education, share your dang experiences. Ben also says there's a thing called self-hating Jews. Those are the ones that participate in all of this nonsense. And of course, it's a question I think no Jew should ever vote for a Democrat again.
Yeah.
How could any Jewish person legitimately vote for Joe Biden? How could any Jewish person legitimately vote for any Democrat after what they have seen happen?
Mm-hmm.
There's not one argument for any Jew to support this. And I am hearing stories of Jews in New York who used to vote Democrat who are now going, wait a second, life has changed.
Yeah.
The Democratic Party does not have our best interest at heart. And also the enlightened African Americans that we start to see, wait a second, we have not gotten better under Democratic rule.
No.
We have not gotten better under these progressive policies. We have not gotten better under this world first, America second agenda.
Yeah.
If they're Democrats, they're loyal to any cause.
And you see that to be true.
Benny
They don't even
says-
know what the cause is.
And Benny says, because most American Jews don't even support Israel.
They really don't.
I
A
don't
lot
know
of them
about
don't.
that.
A lot of them don't, I should say. I mean, all you have to do is drive through Creve Coeur, where a lot of Jewish people live, and there's still BLM signs in their yards. What in the world is that?
I live over there.
Well, do you see the signs?
I've seen some. It's worse in Webster.
Yeah,
but,
way worse than Webster. That's true.
But it is a hardcore liberal area.
You don't drive through my neighborhood and see any BLM signs. Never did.
No. Yeah, I don't know if they would go there.
No, they wouldn't go there.
Ben says that's not true. I don't know exactly what Ben was referring to. Chris says, how can any practicing Catholic vote for the Democrat Party more? Correct. They don't get into that because the mass isn't about that. The mass is about Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
It's about your relationship with Jesus and taking him fully 100%. However, the teaching is 100% clear.
Mm-hmm.
It is 100% clear. But of course, evildoers will try to distort anything that is good in any faith. No, they shouldn't. There is no reason. So for any Christian, not just Catholic,
any Christian faith,
if you're looking, it's pretty damn simple.
it's clear.
And that doesn't mean the Republican Party is a great, holy, godly party.
Because they're not.
We get on the Republican Party a lot. That is for sure. That's how we think that we're different too. We'll call out people like Mike Johnson. We'll call out Mitch McConnell. We'll call out the RNC when they're not doing the things that they should be doing. We'll call out all the bullshit that's going on because we have to.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, how could we legitimately sit here and do a show if we're not calling out Republicans who are evil or
Correct.
doing the things that they're doing?
That's right. We have to call them out because there's, as a general rule, we know the Democrats tend to be more evil. In the uniparty up in DC, I think the Republicans are just as evil. But on the local level, I just think the Republicans need to get their head out of their ass and stop arguing with each other.
Pam says the Messianic Jews versus non-Messianic. Messianic Jews are Jews that believe in Jesus. And I know that pisses people off who are Jews. But I grew up with Jews and Messianic Jews.
Yeah.
It's very, very bizarre. As a matter of fact, you know who a Messianic Jew is? And a former producer, co-producer of the super, super successful show, Touched by an Angel. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She's from the St. Louis area. Her name's Marcy Gold. My mom kind of took her in and would cut her hair and help her. And Marcy was always around the family. Marcy is an amazing woman, but here's what happens. And I know Jews don't agree with this, but through her life, she believed that Jesus was her savior, and her family disowned her. And this is what happens. I mean, we're talking about real issues here. And so my mom really tried to help her, take care of her. And Marcy ended up working with Pat Boone, of all people. And then she was super intelligent. And then she got hired because she went to Hollywood. She wanted to be a producer. And she ended up being a co-producer. And they hired her for that show because of her biblical knowledge. They literally hired Marcy to be, and then she was a co-producer. Then she became the producer of Touched by an Angel and had a super successful career. And she was a Messianic Jew. So as a child, I'm like trying to understand, like, what the hell's going on? It's like, so there's all kinds of different, I'm an American, or there are different types of Catholics, different types of Christians. But that's a whole nother situation. Bendy says Messianic Jews do support Israel. Now I can't remember what we were talking about. Damn, I had so much good to talk about.
Well, you've already been saying a whole bunch of stuff, but we've just basically been talking about the college campuses, and we got off on talking about all the different kinds of Jewish people. But that's probably a good thing that we're doing that through all of this, the Jewish people are getting forgotten. Actually, they're the ones that are being targeted, and people are being mean, but really nobody takes the time to ask them. We all have our opinions about it, but we don't ask them.
That is a very fascinating, by the way, the AP report. Okay. The AP has just come out. There's a poll, and it is 100% to nothing that people love your hair today, Lizzie.
Oh, thank you very
much.
much.
The AP just coming out with that.
The AP did?
They just did a poll in the last 45 minutes.
Oh, that's
nice. And it is 100% for your hair, 0% against it.
Okay. Well, that's nice to know.
Yeah. The AP is watching us, and yeah.
Although somebody said, I don't know, I think there's 1% that has a problem with it, because somebody said her hair told me to get off the lawn.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but it was on the chat line.
What was the comment again?
Her hair told me to get off the lawn.
What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Her hair, did you think it was negative or positive?
It could go either way.
Her hair told me to get off the lawn.
That means don't.
You can't, Joe.
You better have your camera on, Joe.
Pro Joe, I say this out of respect because you're too super talented.
He is.
And too good of a guy to not have your face
There
seen.
he is. There he is.
All right.
Okay.
So basically, don't hit any of your
balls
on her lawn.
What does that mean?
It means if you're a person, don't kick your soccer ball into my lawn.
Yeah, but does that mean your hair looks good or not?
It probably means I'm crabby. It means my hair's crabby.
She looks like a crabby professional.
That's right. That means I look crabby with that hair. And so get off my lawn. Don't put your balls on my lawn.
Oh my God.
Balls. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Anthony's great. I'm sure he was just joking, but nonetheless, get off my lawn. So whenever you come over to my house and I've got this hair, don't put your balls on my lawn.
Brendan said she didn't get it either. I didn't. From the chat line, Sassy looks amazing. Hi, Joe. Hey, Joe. It was a joke. Anthony says, yeah, we got it. We appreciate it. But those things happen. Okay. I get it. The whole topic, maybe bring in, we've got a Jewish man coming in today at 9:00.
Yep.
Eric Greitens will be in just a little bit.
Yeah, he's in now.
But real quick, we had to show this other video, and this is where I'm so damn grateful. I hate what I'm seeing, but I also like it because people will show you who they are. I repeat, people will show you who they are. Case in point, look at this Jewish student at UCLA, literally just trying to get to class. He's just trying to walk into a building, and thank God people who are Jewish are starting to videotape their experiences. They're starting to show again what's being done to them. And of course, as we talk about, people who cover their face are cowards. Mm-hmm. They are showing you who they are. Watch the video of what this guy is dealing with. And once again, this animalistic behavior continues to happen in certain colleges, on campuses across America. And I'm glad these people, these terrorists, are showing exactly who they are.
Can I please go to class? We're going this way. You guys have closed the entrance. We are UCLA students. I have my ID right here. I'm being blocked off, not by the security guard, but by you two. You three. Oh, look, they're making their burger while I'm going this way. Excuse me. This is what they do. Everybody, look at this. Look at this. I'm a UCLA student. I deserve to go here. We pay tuition. This is our school. And they're not letting me walk in. My class is over there. I want to use that entrance. Well, I can't take it. Will you let me go in? This can be over in a second. Just let me and my friends go in to class.
We're not engaging with that.
Then you can move. Will you move?
We're not engaging with that.
Okay, we're going. We're going. I'm going in. I have my hands up. I'm not hurting them. I'm not hurting them. That's what they do. That's what they do, everybody. You guys are promoting aggression. You guys are promoting hate. We're UCLA students. We deserve to be there. Let's go. We're going
You
this.
see what is going on right there, and maybe they knew he was Jewish. He is wearing a Star of David on a necklace, but at the end of the day, that's the kind of crap that continues to happen, and that's why I use the word terrorist. That's why I use the word immature. That's why I use the word uneducated. And I'm sorry, in many of these cases, and I don't want to call young people evil, but they're acting in an evil way. These are the types of things that are happening, and you see video of it, so you know exactly who these people are and how they're treating Jewish students on campuses from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast.
That's terrible. And my first instinct was, I hope he just busts through there. But the problem is, if he had touched one of them, they would have screamed, he hurt me. He hurt me.
Well, you know what? As long as there's video and he has his hands up, he could bust through.
I wish
he was making a point.
He was making a point.
And I get the point that he's making, but it infuriates me as well. By the way, this is canceltheshow.com. We're here Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Central. And all the time on our website, canceltheshow.com, news headlines, politics, political interviews from all over the country, cancel culture education, the water cooler talk. Ben says, I wish I was there. I wish you.
I wish
Ben's a peaceful man. Of course, we said the owner of Wendy's and a Jewish man himself. Ben, yeah. But the problem is the fact that these kids are just trying to, and I don't care what you think about Israel or Jews. They're just trying to go to class. And yeah, Ben, you and I, we would have cleared out some fakes. And by the way, did you notice again? Faces covered.
Yeah, all of them have their
covered. Oh, we want amnesty. Faces covered. Treat us well. Faces covered. We're innocent. We're going to commit crimes. Faces covered. All of these things continue to happen. One of those types of interviews where we're doing now is with the former Missouri governor, Eric Greitens. He joins us now. Eric, it's been a while. Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, you're a Jewish man. You grew up. Hell, as a matter of fact, I told people yesterday, hell, you and I played soccer together in like the 7th and 8th grade when we talked a long time ago. I was going to the bar mitzvahs and I played soccer with Jewish kids, and I had a chance to get to know Eric at an early age. Former Missouri governor, you see some of that video. What comes to your mind when you see that, my friend?
Well, first, I just want to say what a great start to a Tuesday morning. You got Vic Faust, Lizzie Sparks, Cancel This. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Damn, listen to that energy.
Yeah, did you clip that, Joe, so we can have that run? Yeah.
No, but really, I appreciate you guys. And I want to remind you, you guys are on the front lines. You're dealing with this stuff every day. You're getting the truth out. And we need to have people like you doing this. And I really, really appreciate what you're doing, Vic. I appreciate what you're doing, Lizzie. And it is so important that the truth actually comes out. Because if you think about what's happening in the country, they have systematically and intentionally eliminated almost every venue where patriots can go to get the truth, which is why it's so important that you guys are doing what you're doing. Everyone recognizes now that you can't trust the mainstream media. I mean, these are guys on the mainstream media who are still claiming that COVID came from bat soup. Okay. It's absolutely insane. And you know that they're not going to show the truth of what you just showed is happening on campus, which is actually happening all over the country. And fundamentally, it's important to get to the root of what's happening. What you see with all of this, it's just leftist bullying. That's all it is. It's leftist bullying. And remember how leftists work. What they try to do is they don't have enough people to physically bully everyone. So what they're going to do is they're going to pick a few people and they're going to try to create examples so that other kids don't even try to go to class. They're going to take on, George Soros is going to use Soros-funded prosecutors to go after leaders who refuse to play along with the leftist game. This is what you're seeing right there is a microcosm of the macro strategy that leftists use. And that is, if you're willing to stand up, if you're willing to fight, if you're willing to actually stand for what you believe in, they will come after you viciously. They'll come after you viciously. You see what's happening to President Trump. They'll lie about you. I obviously live this. They'll lie about you. They'll make up fake cases. They will break the law. They'll do all of these things in order to attack you. It is systematically what leftists do. It's what Stalin did. It's what Pol Pot did in Cambodia. It's what Mao did in China. This is how it works, and why it's so important. It's why it's so important that all of your listeners, and you've got so many amazing folks. I'm watching some of the comments come up now. I really appreciate your listeners and the patriots who are following you guys. It's why it's so important that we stand up against leftism everywhere we see it.
Eric, what would you do if you're a student on campus and you encounter a situation like we just showed at UCLA, where you have a Jewish student that's just trying to walk into class? Is all
Well,
you can do
I
videotape?
think you've got a couple things. Number one, this student did a great job of actually documenting his experience. Okay, he's got the video evidence, and one of the reasons why that's actually so important for him, one of the reasons why that's so important for him to do, is because had something happened, the leftists would have made up false stories about him. The media would have then repeated those false stories about him, and they would have personally and viciously attacked him. So number one, it's very important for him to have that evidence. The second thing that I would say, though, that's really important for all patriots to do is to recognize that you're not alone. One of the things that leftists like to do is that they like to isolate. It's a part of the playbook. They isolate people and then attack them. Okay, so get some other students. They don't have to be all Jewish students. Get some other students who believe, hey, guess what? I paid a lot of tuition to come to this school. That's my class. I'm going to go there. We're going to go there and start rolling through. Also, you need to get, the university administrators are always willing to come out and protect the leftists who are harassing other students. But they also need to do their job, which is just to make sure that these kids can actually get to their campus. So you need to call them to account and put them on the spot and say, look, these students need to be able to safely get to their campus. And if they're not, then are you going to refund their tuition?
Yeah, it makes sense. We're talking with former Missouri Governor Eric Greitens joining us now as we were talking about some of the Jewish situations going on around the country. If you didn't know, Eric Greitens, of course, Jewish as well, so he can speak very clearly to some of these things that are going on, but so much more from the standpoint of what's going on, as you see, talking about what's happening from the left around the country. Isn't it interesting, when you think back, Eric, how the Democratic Party changed? Because at one point in time, you were a Democrat. You were a registered Democrat. But something you saw made you change. And I have seen, and I know many people who were once Democrats, including a really good friend, a Jewish friend of mine, who's like, wait a second, this isn't what it used to be. I mean, do you think back and go, damn, I was a Democrat?
Well, look, I mean, back in the day, look, Harry Truman was a Democrat, okay? Like Harry Truman from the state of Missouri. That was eons ago. It was a completely different party. The idea that somebody like Harry Truman would not even be allowed to set foot in the Democratic National Convention. It's absolutely absurd what has happened. And the Democratic Party has now been taken over by leftists. It is not any longer a liberal political party. This is now, when you look at the behavior that they are sanctioning and supporting, you look at what they're doing, and whether it's supporting people who are committing arson and looting, as we saw throughout the state of Missouri in 2020, whether it is shutting down free speech, whether it is shutting down small businesses, whether it is mandating that everyone in the military take a forced experimental medicine, which was later proven to have serious implications for myocarditis for young men. These are just a few of the many examples of what's happened. It's nothing like what the Democratic Party once was.
Eric is talking with us today, and we're not. Lizzie will ask questions too. I wasn't trying to just dominate the interview. Lizzie also responds to all those people, Eric. And when you get a chance, please check out comments because several people chiming in, sending you messages. Supporters, people who've known you for a long time.
Oh,
People.
cool. I see that. And, you know, one of the things I'd say to all the folks who are out there, I appreciate you guys tuning in. And, you know, let's make sure that we also go out and share the show. You know,
We appreciate that too, Eric.
One of the things that people can do is let people know that Vic and Lizzie are out every single day doing that. So if you're in the comments, I appreciate you guys, and let's go out and share the show.
Well, you have been a highly requested guest to come on because people want to find out what you think about everything going on. They want to hear your voice about what the college campuses, and they also want to know, what do you think about the border being open, and how would you be handling that if you were the governor here in the state of Missouri, or what would you be doing about that now? They're very interested in finding your opinion on that.
Well, first of all, you need to have extraordinarily strong leadership from governors. And unfortunately, we haven't had that enough. And we certainly haven't had that even enough from a lot of Republican governors. You have to, at the end of the day, you have a core responsibility. And one of those responsibilities is to make sure that you're protecting the life and the liberty of your citizens, which is why when I was governor and Black Lives Matter and Antifa came to Missouri, we shut them down. We sent them home after.
No, you did do that. I remember.
Sure.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah. We shut them down. And then you saw, you know, in 2020, what also happened. And you saw Ann Dorn's husband being murdered. You saw the violence. You saw people being beaten again. At the end of the day, it takes an extraordinary amount. It takes not just a strong governor, but then you also have to create a strategic, operational, and tactical plan with your teams to be able to protect life and protect liberty. We absolutely have to have that kind of leadership. And, you know, in a place like Missouri, you're still being affected by all of the fentanyl that is being shipped through, all of the illegal cartel activity. I went down to the border myself, Vic and Lizzie, as you guys know. I'm a hands-on leader. I went down not just to the American side of the border, I went across to the Mexican side of the border to see what was actually happening and filmed as hundreds of people were walking across Joe Biden's open border. It is a problem, the likes of which a lot of people just don't understand the magnitude of the problem. It's a cartel problem. It's a crime problem. It's a child trafficking problem. And I can also tell you from a national security perspective, guaranteed, we now have cells of terrorists who have infiltrated through the southern border, who are now domestically resident in the United States of America. Meanwhile, Joe Biden and their team don't have any resources focused on those kinds of threats. Instead, they're focused on a lot of other absurd issues.
Well, I think, Eric, I don't know what it is. People must know who the hell you are. When we started interviewing you, we had a bunch of people who got dropped off.
Yeah, totally.
Their signals went out.
It's interesting, Eric.
And then now they're trying to get back on. They had to log back in.
That's right. We have a lot of platforms. So fortunately, when the Facebook platform goes down, they can go to, you know, X and Twitch and Rumble and YouTube and all of that. But it was interesting when you were really speaking the truth, our feed got dropped and now it's come back up. And I can't say that surprises me because everywhere Eric Greitens goes, he speaks the truth and it offends somebody. So somebody got offended and dropped the show. But
hey, and a more of a positive note, what are you up to? What you up to now, Eric? What's going on with you these days?
Oh man, things are very, very good. I am stronger, happier, and healthier than I have ever been in my life. Things are beautiful. I'll tell you the most fun thing that I've done recently, guys. I actually for spring break, I took the boys to Peru, and we hiked the Inca Trail and went to Machu Picchu.
Oh, damn.
Oh, how fun would that be?
It was an incredible adventure. They're 7 and 9 years old now. I am so proud of them. And they did it. I mean, and guys, we were waking up at 5:36 every morning. We're on the trail 6:37 and hiking until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. and they just went after it. It was a really beautiful experience. The opportunity to share one of the wonders of the world with them was really extraordinary. That is by far the most fun thing I've done recently.
That is so fun. How old are your boys now?
So they are 7 and 9 years old, and they are amazing. Absolutely
What
amazing.
badasses to be
Yeah.
that long, hiking that long.
Well, I'm glad that we have Eric on with us right now, the former governor of the state of Missouri, because I know you know Donald Trump well, and Kimberly Guilfoyle was running your campaign at one point in time too. Judge Merchan out of New York just ruled that former President Trump is in violation of his gag order and ordered him to pay $9,000, and he has to delete at least 5 of his social media posts. When you see what's happening to him in New York with a judge that basically is judge, jury, and executioner, how does that make you feel? And is it surprising, shocking in any sort of way that this is actually happening in 2024 to somebody who's a Republican?
No. And let me tell you, I'll reflect on both my own experience, what's happening to President Trump, and then also what it means for the country and your listeners. Look, I was just on Breitbart the other day, and one of the reasons why they asked to have me on was they said, like, you live this, right? I had a George Soros funded prosecutor who literally built a fake case against me. Her, as you guys know, the former FBI agent who she hired to build a fake case was later charged with 7 felonies for perjury and evidence tampering for building a fake case. They had people who came in who paid $120,000 in cash bribes to people who lied about me. And what I pointed out then, and I'll say again here, is that they don't need for, at the end of the day, for President Trump to necessarily be convicted, or for him to be convicted and to have it not be overturned, right? All they need, part of the victory for them, is that right now, President Trump has to be in court instead of out on the campaign trail talking about his record versus Joe Biden's record. They are draining his personal finances. They're draining his campaign finances. They're taking the time of all of his aides and his team who need to be focused on these issues rather than on actually winning the election. So that's part of the victory for them, is that what they're doing is that they're taking away all of these times, all of these resources from the Trump campaign, even though anyone who has looked at the Trump civil case, who's looked at this supposed fake criminal case, knows that this is absolutely without merit. Now, here's the real issue, though, and here's the real challenge, is that what leftists are also doing is that they are destroying the American justice system. Mm-hmm. They are destroying the American justice system. People used to use the word lawfare, okay? And meaning that they're using the law to attack their political opponents. This is that, but it's actually much worse. Before I was a Navy SEAL, I worked around the world in countries that had fallen apart. I worked in Bosnia, right? At a time when you had massive ethnic cleansing there, just 8 years after Sarajevo had hosted the Olympics. I worked in Rwanda when the country descended into genocide. I worked in Cambodia. I worked in Albania. All of these things, this was before I went to places like Iraq and Afghanistan, Southeast Asia, and the Horn of Africa. And what a lot of Americans don't understand is that the republic can be lost. Mm-hmm. Once you destroy people's faith in the justice system, people will still have justice. And if they believe that the courts are no longer fair, that you get targeted because of your political beliefs, that you can't get a fair shake, then you are really ripping the roots. The foundation of the country is being torn apart. And that's why what they're doing is so serious. It's not just a campaign tactic, and it's not just an attack on President Trump. You think about what leftists have done with COVID, they took away people's freedom. Now, with all of the activism, when they targeted folks like me, when they targeted people like President Trump, people are starting to have this sense, wow, even the courts aren't fair. Even the courts aren't fair. And that is a fundamental threat to the United States of America as a republic. And they know exactly what they're doing.
Talking with former Missouri Governor Eric Greitens, breaking down some very interesting situations. We see it. I mean, it's getting worse. Do you feel as if something's going to happen, Eric? And I know it can be conspiratorial, that is going to disrupt the election. And I'm not even talking about voter fraud or irregularities happening and mail-in ballots. I'm talking about something else leading into 2024, something that could dictate some sort of situation where governors of states would all of a sudden decide how voting would take place or something of that nature.
Yeah, I tell you, Vic, we are in uncharted territory here. And this is how it's an incredibly, incredibly dangerous time. As you and Lizzie both know, I'm a student of history. And when you look back at history, all of the signals that we're seeing now in the United States of America, these are very dangerous signals. Okay. I'd remind people, for example, when the Roman Republic fell apart, people remember what happened. Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon and he brought his armies across. That was the end of the Roman Republic. Why did that happen? It happened because Caesar had a choice. His choice was, if he came home, he was going to face a politically motivated prosecution. So he decided he was going to come back and he brought his armies home, right? If you look at what's happening you think about what happened in the early days of the Republic, right? You think about the Revolutionary War, right? In 1770, you had the Boston Massacre, right? And then in 1773, you had the Boston Tea Party, right? And these events, they keep building one on top of another. We're in a situation now, when you look back historically, it's hard sometimes because we live our days every single day, every minute of every day, every second of every day, we feel them. It's oftentimes hard to look back and think about what is going to matter historically. Keep in mind, this president, Joe Biden, when he was inaugurated under armed guard, and there were no citizens of the United States who were allowed to attend his inauguration.
That's right.
And then freedom of speech was taken away from people who had basic questions, even asking things like where COVID came from. If you didn't believe that it came from bat soup, they called you a racist. Okay, that happened in this country. Then you had all of the arson, you had all of the looting. Now we're at a place where, just like a banana republic, we've gone and the leading candidate to be president of the United States has been charged with fake made up crimes. Everyone who's looked at this indictment in New York recognizes this is absolute nonsense. It makes zero legal sense. But again, it's the same thing they did to me. They attacked me and they said that they had no evidence, but they said they were going to go and look for evidence. It made no sense. But the media, but this is why they need the mainstream media, because the mainstream media keeps repeating the lies as if it makes sense. They keep saying, well, President Trump's been charged with, 30 counts here and 20 counts here and 30, and as if these were real things. So we're in a very dangerous time. And to your question, Vic, I think that something has already happened. Like, this is happening right now. We're living it. You're watching leftists work together, leftist prosecutors, leftist funders, and a leftist media. You're watching them make up a fake case against the leading candidate to be president of the United States. And they're doing this before our very eyes.
And what's interesting is we can't even get it to stop. I know when this happened to you, I was loud in saying, you know why they're doing this to Eric Greitens, because they see him is coming after Trump to be the president, because that's where you were going to go. And almost everybody knows that. He was the president. You were just very similar to him in actions, maybe a little bit more, maybe a lot more eloquent in the way you speak. And they were going to ruin you before you ever got there. And now they're doing it to Trump. And people, when I used to say that, they would be like, oh, they can't do that to Trump. I was like, that's what's coming next.
And you're exactly right, Lizzie. And I would say this, it's not, they did this to Eric Greitens. They're doing it to Donald Trump. And they're also doing this, keep in mind, simultaneously, right now, this very moment, to thousands of citizens who you don't even hear about.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we look no further than J6.
J6.
We've already got that.
Right.
Yeah.
Look at what's happening to all of those January 6 prisoners who haven't gotten actually anything close to a fair trial. Okay. They're doing this to them. And again, what do leftists want to do? They want to set an example. So they've told people now, this is what happens if you stand up. You stand up against the lobbying culture like Eric Greitens, this is what you're going to get. You end looting and rioting, this is what you're going to get. If you're President Donald Trump, you don't play the game, this is what you're going to get. You go to January 6th, you stand up, this is what you're going to get. And what ends up doing, keep in mind, this is how leftists work. All they need other people to do is to make a decision that they're not going to stick their head up, which is why courage is so important in this moment, Lizzie.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And what I'm noticing, and you tell me what you think about this, is I'm watching all of these leftists do these things, and I'm watching even local and state Republicans completely falling apart. They're fighting. They're not getting along. They can't decide on a candidate. So we're not strong enough as a Republican Party to do anything about that. What do you say about that? Do you see the same thing, that the Republicans, they can't get their head out of their butts, as I say it, and decide on anything to go forward?
I think it's worse than that, Lizzie. I think it's worse. I think we're in a firefight, and the Republican Party is the bush that people are hiding behind. Okay. It's not stopping any bullets. And I can tell you from my personal circumstance, I can tell you the problem was not the Democrats. The problem was the corrupt Republicans. Okay. You add up the leftists, plus cowardly Republicans, leftists plus cowardly Republicans plus corrupt Republicans, and you have a majority. Let me say that again. You add up all of the leftists, you add to them the coward Republicans, and then you add to them the corrupt Republicans, and they make a majority. And unfortunately, you look at a lot of the elements of the Republican Party, okay? Not necessarily individual patriot leaders, but you look at the Republican Party and it is deeply corrupt. Look at where they take all of their money from, right? In the state of Missouri, they take it from corrupt things like the Light Tech program. You look at more generally, you look nationally at what's happening, and where are they taking money? They're taking money from the disease profit system. They're taking money from all of these people who are invested in the system as it stands. And that's why you see all of them refusing to actually stand up for real change.
We're talking with former Missouri Governor Eric Greitens right now. When you bring up corruption with Republicans, and I'm saying it, you don't even have to, but I'm going to ask you about him. I think it starts with Mitch McConnell, and that's my humble opinion because of what we have seen for decades. And somehow, some way, he has managed to get reelected, stay in power, and thankfully he is leaving. Now, there are entrenched Republicans that may not want to hear that, but I mean, you have Josh Hawley calling for him to leave. Heck, even I mean, many politicians have said he's got to go, and he's going. With that being said, and we've been asked on our chat line twice about this, at one point in time, didn't you have a lawsuit against McConnell? If so, is that still going on?
What happened was I was the first Republican in the country who said that I was going to vote against Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, you were attacked for that, of course.
Of course. And that's why it was one of the reasons why, again, they came in and they literally spent $20 million in lies in order to attack me. Why? Because they recognize that they will keep Republicans there and they'll let them make a little noise here and there. As long as they are going along with the system, then they're fine. And whether it's because they're corrupt or they're cowards, they'll keep them there. It's only the Republicans, it's only the patriots really, who stand up and actually fight against the corruption, who they really attack. And so I think it's good that now everyone is recognized, not everyone, but a lot of people have recognized McConnell's corruption. But you have to understand it's much deeper than just one person. This is actually entrenched in the entire system in Washington, D.C. It's why Steve Bannon calls it the uniparty. Whether it's Democrats or Republicans, what you see, it's a uniparty, and they continue to push the same policies, which make people sick.
So forgive me, just because somebody wanted us to ask you. Did you have to sue him, or is there a lawsuit that you can?
No, there was never a lawsuit against Mitch McConnell. I think people probably just thought because we were coming, after him so viciously that maybe there was one, but no.
Maybe it was their wishful thinking.
Eric, I'm going to put you on the spot. Where does Mike Johnson, House Speaker, fall in all of this? Because he blew me with his funding for Ukraine. Blew me away. He blew me away.
This is what happens. Everybody's seen it. Everybody's watched it. They expect, and it worked here. Once somebody gets in office, they'll turn them. Okay. And I'll tell you what this is like from the inside, Vic and Lizzie. I knew when I was elected governor, a lot of the Republican establishment thought, okay, what Greitens talked like that when he was running, but he's not actually going to end the lobbying culture. He's not actually going to end the corrupt tax credit program. He's not actually going to support the police officers. So what happened was when I was elected, you started to see, and it's built into the system. There are all these lobbyists who come and they want to donate to your inauguration. They want to donate to this. Why? Because they want to worm their way into the system to start to influence people who are in power. And that's what you saw with Speaker Johnson. When we got in, I remember, you guys will remember, the very first thing that I did as governor was that I ended all lobbyist gifts, signed an executive order within an hour of being elected. I also slammed shut the revolving door between lobbyists and the executive branch so that no one who worked for me could turn around and become a lobbyist. You have this entire corrupt culture in Washington, D.C. And what they do is that they, as soon as the speaker got into office, they started putting all of this pressure on them. And everybody saw the result.
And that is part of, I think, was your demise. The very thing that should have been done, you shook the core of the lobbyists and all the people that liked this uniparty thing, even here in Missouri and Jeff City. And they were going to do everything they could, along with Sorrow's money, so that you couldn't go forward. Because by shaking it all up, you pissed a lot of people off.
Exactly. No, we were incredibly popular with the people of Missouri and absolutely hated by all of the lobbyists, because we're doing what was right for the people of Missouri. And
is that still in place, Eric? Eric, is what you did? Is that still in place? What you stopped?
I mean, what happened was as soon as look, Vic, as soon as they got rid of me, they instituted the corrupt tax credit program. So today, this very day, the people of Missouri are being ripped off. It's like $150 million a year going to these corrupt programs. They went and they tried to reinstitute lobbyist gifts, and then you had some other things on the ballot. But the point is, the culture of Washington D.C. and the culture of Jefferson City is utterly corrupt.
It just frustrates me, and I'm glad we get your perspective of what's happening, because you've been there when it comes to politics, the behind the scenes issues, what's going on. You are the former governor of the state of Missouri. There is an election coming up this year. Is there any doubt in your mind? I mean, I saw polling that came out in the state of Missouri 2 days ago. I know the Ashcroft campaign put it out there, where he had like a +30 lead in the state of Missouri. That blew my mind. Could you, I mean, do you see him being the foregone winner of this Missouri election?
I haven't come to any conclusions, and don't really have any thoughts yet on that on that race. What I will tell you is that what a lot of people have seen is that it doesn't matter who's elected if they don't have the spine to actually drive change.
I would
And
agree with you because you have a lot of spine and a lot of the other ones. And people will maybe be angry with me about this, but sometimes I see the people that act like they're, quote, the most conservative, but they don't get in there and do that. They just say it to get elected. And then when they get elected, they actually don't change any legislation or do what you did, got rid of the lobbyists. They say they're going to do it, but then they never do it.
100%, Lizzie. Look, every single day when I was in office, I had Republicans who were supposedly conservative come in and lie to me. And who they were really working for is some of them were working hand in hand with the Democrats, and they were working for the lobbyists. That's really who they were working for. And they'll go out and in front of their constituents and they'll talk about how conservative they are. Or they'll talk about what they're going to do for the state or the big changes that they're going to make. But in fact, when it came down to it, they just wouldn't do a thing.
Is there a place for lobbyists or PACs, either locally or nationally, when it comes to elections and raising money?
Yeah, I really don't. I don't think that the republic or the state is well served by them at all. I took zero lobbyist money when I was running for governor, and I refused to meet. One of the reasons why they went after me was the entire time I was governor, Vic, I didn't meet with a single lobbyist, not one. And you know what? We were able to govern well. And again, that's why they went after us, because it's important for people to understand what the culture what actually happens. So if we have a minute, if it's okay, I'll just kind of explain like how this culture works. What the lobbyists do, it's not just that they give money to campaigns. Okay. If that was all they did, they'd have some influence, but not that much. The worst part of the lobbying culture is what they do is that you have a lot of young people who are actually in politics, right? And they might have been very idealistic and they came in and they're working in some fairly junior level in a governor's office or in a senator's office or something like that. And the lobbyists start working with them, and the young people don't know, they can't possibly know the details of every issue. And the lobbyists say, well, I'll help you out. Let me actually give you a briefing on that. I'll come by and I'll educate you on this issue. So they start educating them about the lobbyist perspective. And then as they start working with them, they offer them a job and they say, listen, eventually you're going to want to make more money than you can make in government. It would be great to have you come and work for our lobbying firm. And then the kids leave and they go and they become lobbyists. And now they're getting paid 5-6 times what they were inside of government. And what they do then is that they call all of their old friends who are still working for a senator, for a governor, for a congressman. And of course, the very same thing happens with senators, with congressmen, and with governors. Is that as they're leaving, they know eventually this is going to end. What happens is they want to go and make money by actually working as lobbyists. And that's why you see so many former senators and former congressmen and former governors who are actually spending their careers as lobbyists. And that's one of the things that should absolutely be made illegal, is that you cannot be in a position in the U.S. government at any level and then turn around and become a lobbyist.
Wow. Fascinating. Hey, buddy, before you spent a lot of time with us today and we're grateful for it. Anything else that you wanted to touch upon, or you think listeners or your supporters should know what's happening right now, either with yourself, with politics, things people should be looking out for? Because there's so many things that are hitting us. And I know you've hit everything today, from the dirty politics to what's happening with the border or no border to state politics. I'm just curious if anything's on your mind since we had you on the show at this point in time.
Yeah, thanks so much, Vic. I appreciate you and Lizzie. Well, the one thing I would say is that, yes, things are really bad. Okay. And they're actually, structurally a lot of times even worse than they look. When you look at what's happening in the economy, you look at the degradation of the culture, you look at the attack on freedom, you look at what is happening in terms of the attack on the very justice system. So there's a lot of reason for concern. What I would also say, though, is that fundamentally, I am an optimistic and positive person. And what I would encourage patriots to recognize is that all of them we need everyone to stay strong, because no matter what happens here in the Republic, right? Even when you have a kind of volcanic destruction, soon afterwards, you get these kind of green shoots of grass. And the patriots who are listening to your show right now, you can be part of that renewal. You can be part of that rebirth. You can be part of rebuilding a country that we can all be proud of. And it's important to keep that faith and to keep that hope, because one of the things that leftists want you to do, is that they want you to give up hope. Because if they can kill your hope, then they don't have to come after you and your friends. You have to keep hope alive. You have to stay engaged, and you have to recognize that there is, I don't even want to say like light right now, light at the end of the tunnel, right? Because we're in a very dark place, but we do have to keep that hope. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be our kids and our grandkids who are counting on us to actually rebuild and be part of the rebirth and the renewal and the revival of our country.
And I agree with all of what you just said. I say to Vic often that there's going to come to a time. I do see a revival already starting with people, not only in politics, but even in their faith. And we have to have that. Where I'm optimistic too, but where I'm most probably frightened about is, say you've got 2 sons, I've got 5 kids, and I've got grandkids. What would you tell them about our military today? To me, it seems like it's so woke. Would you tell them to go in and be the light there? Or would you say, don't go in right now under this regime?
That's a really tough question, Lizzie. It's a real tough one. I will tell you, I've struggled with it, because my service in the United States military was one of the best things I ever did for myself. And I used to be able to recommend to every single man, especially who I met, and to a lot of men and women, I used to be able to recommend to all of them to spend some time in the United States military. Once they started to force the COVID vaccine on every single member of the military, you had to sort of think twice. And then the real thing that was so disgusting to watch was the absolute betrayal of our soldiers and Marines in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
The pullout from Afghanistan was a massive disaster, the likes of which I don't think we, as a culture, even had the time to fully comprehend. It made no sense. They left behind tens of billions of dollars in military equipment. They shut our strategic airbase and forced everyone to leave via Kabul. They left civilians behind. It made no sense. It was absolutely terrible what they did. And the worst part, Lizzie, and the worst part, Vic, was that no one at a senior level was held responsible. One of the core lessons of military service and military leadership is that you take responsibility. And I can guarantee to you, any private, in the Army, any Lance Corporal in the United States Marine Corps who is responsible for something and failed in their responsibility, they'd be held accountable. And no one at a senior level of American military leadership was ever held accountable for that. And because of that, it really, I think, people lost a lot of confidence in the military. Everybody recognizes that there can be mistakes, but you have to take responsibility for them. When you combine that then with a lot of the woke culture that has started to infiltrate the military, it's a tough, it's a real tough thing. I was actually this whole past weekend, I was at a shooting seminar, and it was fun. It was rifle, pistol, shotgun with a bunch of former veterans and a lot of active duty police officers. And almost all the guys were veterans of one kind or another. And this was a question that we were talking about because it was such a formative experience for all of us. And I think probably can still be a formative experience for a lot of young people, but it's not the obvious, absolutely 100% should be done answer that you would have had before. And all of that has to do just with the culture, not even with the dangerous places. When you look at Joe Biden and his strategy in what's happening in the Middle East, you look at Joe Biden and what's happening, what he's done in Russia, Ukraine. What you see in all of these cases is that we're living in a very, very dangerous world that's being made more dangerous by incompetent American leadership.
And that is so sad what you just said. Everything that you told us is the truth, that everyone really was waiting for your voice to hear, because so many people are not saying that. We're getting into political season where everybody's getting ready to run, in the primaries, but they're not hearing anyone really that exciting this time around, really. Would you say, Vic? Do you see anybody really exciting?
No. I
There's
guess
no Eric Greitens.
No. Hey, speaking of which, Eric, before you get out of here,
Yeah.
because people want to know, I mean, I know you stepped down as governor and then you ran and you were winning a state, or excuse me, U.S. Senate election for most of that with Eric Schmidt. Eric Schmidt ended up coming out on top of that. Do you still have desire to be in politics, or are you done?
Well, look, I'm absolutely still going to continue to serve the American people, and I'm going to continue to serve them in lots of different ways. And I wouldn't ever rule anything out. I'd always keep every option open. I do think that we've reached a different stage, though. I think that we've reached a place in the country where I don't see, frankly, a lot right now. I don't see a lot of solutions coming out of politics. When you look at what's happening, not just in Missouri, but you look at what's happening in Washington, D.C., you have to ask the question. There's a great philosopher named Eric Hoffer who talked about what happens to countries. And he said, sometimes countries reach a stage of chronic incompetence. Okay. You think of like a chronic health condition, chronic incompetence. When you get to a place where you can't balance a budget, you can't secure a border, you can't win a war, and you can't do those things for decades, it's a place of chronic incompetence. So you have to ask yourself, and I have to ask myself, and we all who are listening have to ask ourselves, where is our energy best spent? And is it in politics? Is it in the culture? Is it in our families? There are lots of places for us to make a difference, and I think we all have to keep an open heart, most importantly, and an open mind, and think about how we can best be of service.
Eric Greitens, former Missouri governor, we appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in and giving us a backdrop of what's happening with your life, what's going on in the state of politics from what you see, and especially what's happening to fellow Jews around the country when it comes to the protests, kids just trying to go to school. I think people enjoyed you. I mean, you certainly have your fans. There's probably everybody has detractors out there as well. So we're just grateful we had a chance to spend some time with you.
Hey, man, great to be on with you, Vic. Lizzie, thank you so much for having me, guys. And I'll look forward to talking with you guys again soon.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Have a great day.
All right. There he is, former
Bye.
Missouri Governor Eric Greitens. By the way, if you're on any of our platforms, please like us, especially on X. I know we have a ton of people that watch us live there, but we would love you to also like us there. Follow us from that standpoint. It would help us do a lot more. Interesting interview. Glad we got a perspective where we didn't have to talk a lot about politics.
Correct.
Obviously we talked a little bit about the dirtiness, and people know about this, of what's happening, but to get his perspective on events, things that are happening around the country, including what I just brought up, the anti-Jewish protests that are going on, and what's happening to Donald Trump.
Yeah. And what's happening to Donald Trump is something that I had a discussion with Eric, as he knows, way back, that as soon as this happened to him, I said, Donald Trump is next. He's like, yeah, but a lot of people think that it's not next, but that's what's coming. And if you can get to your governors and your presidents, you're in a world of hurt. And he went on and talked about that today.
Well, it's one of those things. If you're in politics, you have to know how to play the political game.
That's right.
You just have to know how. It's part of it. There are rules that are there, and you have to play within the game. You have to know who the players are, who has power, who doesn't. It's like anything in life. I mean, it's like a lot of professions.
Correct. And he did what the people asked him to do. And he went in there, and he said it today, that he went in and he got rid of the lobbyists right away. From the get-go, he pissed off so many people,
But
that
just
he was
to,
done.
listen, I've got no issue with Eric Greitens at all.
Right.
I've been, but at the same point in time too, you can't do something that puts you
Correct.
in a position.
Correct.
So, Eric had what happened in his personal life, being very politely about it, and it was used against him.
It was used against
But
him.
he stepped down from being governor.
And I hated to see him step down. I understand why he stepped down, but I wish he hadn't. But they were not going to let up. I mean, unless you are Donald Trump with endless money. And as Eric told us, he didn't take the lobbyist money. So the money was eventually going to come to an end. And to save his family at the time, he felt that was the right thing to do. And all of us understand that our family comes first. And if your family isn't 100% behind you, you can't do this.
Well, I knew it was a dirty game. When he was running for U.S. Senator, I mean, he was leading by a large amount until commercials started to run.
Correct.
Where there was a woman reading the court report of him being accused of hitting a son, and that was never validated.
Correct.
That's the only thing. When dirty, and I know a little bit about this, when people play dirty, and I've studied this, I've been a part of it, I've reported on it. That's politics.
Correct. Correct.
Those things happen, and you got to know who the players are. It's all part of the game.
That's right. And if you don't know who the players are, that's the thing. You have to, a lot of people think that their candidate, and I'm not going to mention any names here, is the guy and it's the one. But if they don't know how to play the game, and if they're only in their own little echo chamber of people to talk to, you can't get anything done. So you better learn how to play the game a little bit, or politics is not something you should get into.
From the chat line, Paul says, really good interview. Didn't really care for Greitens because of how he lived his personal life, which I was just referring to, and how it affected the state ultimately. But he was very enlightening and informative, and I appreciate that as a listener. Landon says, I was never a fan of Eric until I saw the way that he was railroaded.
And I think a lot of people felt that way. I remember, I didn't know who, when Eric was running the original time, there was 4 candidates in there, and I was so confused, and I had zero idea which one to vote. And believe it, I was camping in, of all places, down in Piedmont, Missouri, and all of a sudden this RV came up, and it said Eric Greitens on the side. So my husband and I decided to stop and talk to him. And after talking to him, he was the same person that you saw today on the interview, very personable, very easy to get along with, very easy to talk to, but you're not going to convince him to do something he feels is wrong. So if he felt the lobbyists were something that shouldn't be there, he was going to do something about that. And that's what I liked about him. All the candidates, to be honest, that ran against him, most of them were really pretty good patriots. But I felt it was the time to make big change and to come in and get rid of the lobbyists. And he did all the things we all asked him to do, and it cost him. If he had played the game better, he'd still have been there. But he didn't play a game. He tried to do what was right. So that's what happened.
Well, he did, but if you have skeletons in your closet and you're not playing the game,
correct. And
it's going to rear its ugly head.
And it always is going
to. And
I
think the detractors to Eric said, listen, you walked out before testifying. You had a chance to get on the stand and testify.
Correct.
And you didn't Those are what people say that have a problem with Eric.
Yes.
That's what they will say. You had a chance.
Correct. You had a chance. And that's the only thing that I had wished.
I'm just trying to bring up all.
You are,
issues,
because
and I'm not trying to be.
Yeah. I agree. And people are saying to me, Lizzie, I'm trying to say is none of the other candidates had the balls Eric Greitens did. And that's true. I will always go for the candidate that has balls, but can do something done. Because I see other candidates that I think maybe have balls, but they're not going to get anything done. And I agree with you, Vic. Nobody, to be honest with you, most people, like, look at Donald Trump. Look, he's been married 3 times. Supposedly he's had affairs, but he hashed them all out before he ran. That's the only thing. I think if Eric him and his wife had come out and said, this has happened, I think it wouldn't have mattered later. But since nobody knew about it, that's why it mattered.
Yeah, it was good to hear him tell a positive story about him and his boys.
Yes, and his boys
hiking
are
through
his
Peru for spring break.
absolute number one. His boys are number one, and you have to appreciate that for sure. And so life is hard if you're going to get into politics. But here's the thing too: if you're going to get into politics, people are going to make up stuff about you that isn't even true. We already deal with it with our son-in-law, and that people make up
That, of course, being Justin Hicks,
Yes.
who is running for a Missouri State Senate seat. Or
Yes.
not Missouri State Senate. He's running for
He's running for 3rd congressional
district.
And I agree with Connie. Just like Trump, everyone has a past. However, what can you do for us? What are your policies? That's what I agree with Connie. Of course, I want somebody to be squeaky clean, but almost everybody has a past. And look at Obama, who he is married to a she. We don't know. Most people probably really don't care. And people will say on the leftist side that he doesn't have any scandals. But he does. He does have scandals, but people just squash his
Well, media
scandals.
didn't cover Obama's scandals.
Correct. But yet he had scandals. And that's the thing. If you are, and this is the thing that infuriates me about Republicans, they are the biggest part of the problem. I liked what Eric said about the Republicans are really just behind some bushes and they don't do anything and they attack their own. They absolutely attack their own. And that's the hardest part about getting in politics as a conservative or a Republican is conservatives attack other conservatives. And so we're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? We talk
Yes.
about that all the freaking
time.
time.
And we got to keep talking about it.
It's also fascinating to see what's happening from a left perspective with the riots, with the protests going on. No doubt in his mind, this is bought and paid for by George Soros types. His son, there is a mission to destroy anything, create controversy. Don't forget, something came up. Now we have it in 2024. We had protest and craziness going on in 2020. We had it in 2016. And of course, we had it in 2012. It continues to happen over and over and over again. Those sorts of things aren't going to go anywhere.
Right.
We have to deal with that. You have to know what's going to come about. And, you do what you got to do. Skip says, I knew we weren't going to get through this without hearing about him being a SEAL. Oh my gosh. My chat line went up as I was trying to read that about him being a SEAL.
Yeah, it says every campaign ad of his, we had to hear about it. SEALs have traditionally embraced a culture of quiet professionalism. Part of the SEAL credo reads, I do not advertise the nature of my work, nor seek recognition for my actions. And I do understand that. Some people did not like that he always brought up that he was a Navy SEAL. I thought in today's interview, he barely brought that up. We really didn't talk about much of this.
He brought it up, but the reason he brought it up today was just from the sheer fact of what he has seen happen in countries that are falling apart.
Correct.
And sees that same comparison with the United States.
Correct.
Because we had asked him that question.
Right. Because we had asked him that question. But I also understand that people on the chat line are very much for Eric Schmidt too, who is proven to be doing a very great job. So
I would agree.
Yeah. So and that's the thing is in a lot of our situations with candidates as conservative Republicans, we often have a couple very good candidates. Some have more balls than others, and those balls get you in trouble because you don't know how to play the game. So with those balls, you've got to learn how to play the game. You do. It's a game, whether you like it or not. Politicians have to, that doesn't mean that they have to lie to you, doesn't mean that they don't have to do anything, but they have to understand all the players and when to play that chip. Because if you play that chip too early, you're done. You're done. As in the case of Eric Greitens.
You know what? Eric Greitens didn't win, but I am grateful that we do have Eric Schmidt representing the state of Missouri
me too.
in the U.S. Senate.
I agree.
That is a fact.
That is a fact. He is very good. Both things.
Josh Hawley. I mean, just a lot of really good politicians. And you know what? After Eric Greitens, I know people get upset, but I thought, and I'm going to upset people too, but I know that we have complained about Mike Parson. There's been people who've complained, oh, Mike Parson needs to be more direct as a Missouri governor. He needs to be out there. I feel as if Mike Parson has done a terrific job managing with professionalism, not losing his mind, with dignity and character. And I know people want to see him do a lot more, but he has always been a person that says you take care of it at the local level. And don't think for a second, if you were happy about Kim Gardner leaving, don't think for a second that he didn't have anything to do with what
He
was
had a
happening
lot to do with it.
to there. So, you know what? Eric Greitens left. Mike Parson came in, and I think Mike Parson has done a terrific job as governor.
I do too.
I do. And I know from our chat line in the past, there are people who are upset at him, wanted him to be more hardcore conservative, pushing through certain issues. But I think he's done a pretty damn good job.
I agree with you. And I was one of those that when Eric left, I was hell-bent on not going to like Mike Parson. I mean, I'm just going to admit it. I was hell-bent. I was not going to like him. So I went out and reached out to him and went to events that he was at. And I liked him. I have to honestly say, and I think he played the game well. He's a nice man. He played it with a lower profile, and so if you live in the state of Missouri, you could have what you wanted. And what I mean by that is just like Donald Trump makes things go back to the states, Mike Parson put things to the certain jurisdictions. And so like with the pandemic, if you did not like, say, Sam Page, you could sell your house and you could move to where you could freely talk without a mask on your face and freely not have to take the jab. So I thought Parson did a great job on leaving it up to the counties in which it was. At the beginning, I didn't like that. I'm like, no, you have to absolutely open the whole state. That would have got him nowhere. He had to play the game correctly, and he played the game correctly. So in our state of Missouri, if you are a conservative, overall, you should be happy because you could be free if you wanted to be free. If you were, against people having an abortion during his time, abortion is illegal in the state of Missouri. So for some of our very big issues, he did right by the people.
Interesting. Paul says he thought that Parson made too many concessions. Connie says not good on masks and getting our businesses open soon enough. Once again, it was all about the county, local government,
Correct.
Local control, taking care of stuff because less government is better.
I agree with that.
And the problem with that is I always told people, just be careful what you wish for. Okay, now you want the government to come in and start taking charge, and we're going to tell you to do this. What happens if a Democrat comes into power and goes, you know what? We're going to force everybody into mask now.
That's correct.
All across the state. That's the flip side of this.
And that was something that was presented to me because I was definitely the one. I think he should open everything up. They're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He's doing the right thing because Missouri and a lot of states can be swing states. We've been Democrat here before. We've had plenty of Democrat governors. So if a Democrat governor had gotten in, they would have masked everywhere. So I think he had to play the game and played it the best he could. And I'm talking about Parson.
Guys, we appreciate you jumping in today. This is cancelthisshow.com. We're here, if you didn't know, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Central, all the time on our website, cancelthisshow.com. We are grateful for people who have donated to us. It helps us. It's how we try to continue to do what we do. If you can donate anything, we are grateful for that to pay our bills. There's a donate button. You can get it from your phone. You can get it from your laptop. If you know of people that we can partner with from a sponsorship standpoint, funding standpoint, or from an advertising standpoint, we have clients as well. We'll be doing that, putting a few of those people out there as well. We also have a merchandise site. You can find that at cancelthisshow.com. We love it when you jump into the people's platform, coming in, giving your information, your comments. It's really second to none. You guys make that happen. Thanks for telling us about interviews and people that want to be on our show. I mean, the whole Eric Greitens interview happened because
so many people asked me to have
people said that he wanted to be on, or they wanted him on from that standpoint. Ben, thank you. Great show, guys. So we appreciate it. And you guys make the show. We wouldn't be here talking to nobody.
Well, and thank you so much for today. Like today, for whatever the reason was, we have listeners on so many platforms, but our Facebook went down for like 2 seconds, went down. And it could be because of what Eric Greitens said, or maybe that's just Facebook. I don't know. Wherever Eric is, somebody's out to get him. And that's just the truth.
There were quite a few that went over to Rumble.
Yeah, they did. And a lot of people went over to Rumble, and our Facebook numbers went back up, and all of our numbers stayed the same. So that is the great thing about so many platforms that we have. If one goes down, the other one's up. And I don't want to be be a conspiracy person. but it's interesting that Eric Greitens is when it went down and went back up.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got almost 200 live watchers right now on X. Or, I mean,
Yes,
just people
yes.
like, so just because you may be watching on one platform, oh, there's only a couple people watching Facebook. No, there's people over a variety of platforms, and X seems to be doing great when you've got almost 200
Correct.
live viewers throughout a 2-hour show, and most of the viewers are sticking around, and that's all because of you guys. And you give us ideas for topics, you interact with us, we try to bring you the best interviews we possibly can as well.
Correct.
Boy, oh boy, we could talk for hours.
We could talk.
And by the way, we would
Mhm.
if we had the financial
Yeah,
backing.
we would just keep on
not going to
talking.
do it.
It's not from a shortage of things to talk
Oh,
about. We
no,
still
no.
have
For sure.
plenty that was left over.
And so we produced a show for tomorrow as well.
Yeah.
But we're here Monday through Friday. When are we coming up on our 300?
I think tomorrow is 300. I may be wrong, but I think tomorrow or Thursday is 365 shows, which means we've literally
like
done
a full year of
a
shows.
full year of shows, and we're off on the weekends. We've taken a day or two off for a holiday, so that's really a good thing. I think it might be tomorrow, but
Yeah.
I'll double check.
It is.
It is
I just
tomorrow.
checked the thumbnail. It says today is 364.
All right, guys, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. And by the way, like, subscribe, share the show. If you are watching on X and yours, please follow us. The more followers we get, the more that we can do on that show as well. And that comes down to you guys following us, going to all the platforms, letting us know what is happening. Dave says, make sure you get merchandise. We were decked head to toe at the PRL show. Love you guys. I guess they had their canceled this.
That is
some of their
awesome.
canceled this gear on. So we are grateful.
And so many people, just to let you know, I couldn't go on Saturday night because my daughter had a long track meet, but so many canceled this people were at Eric's Platinum Rock Legend show. So many canceled.
Our Friday
people were there.
co-host is who we're talking about, Eric Johnson.
And that was so neat. So
Kelly Mano from the Kelly Mano show.
she was there too.
From YouTube.
Mhm.
Is Kelly doing a show this week? Do you know?
They're supposed to. I haven't gotten a schedule yet.
Okay.
However,
I was just
it's
going to
usually
promote
last minute. So.
I was just going to promote the show that you can catch Kelly Mano on the Kelly Mano show, part of our show as well. We produce her out of Renew Media Group, which we do here. And by the way, we also produce podcasts and we rent our studio. Vic at canceltheshow.com, Lizzie at canceltheshow.com. Let us know. We can show you what we can do from that standpoint. Also market your business in a podcast separate from the show, but marketing, it really is the new frontier for businesses to promote themselves when it comes to doing everything that you possibly can to promote yourself as a big business or even a small business. Just let us know from that standpoint. We can let you know, Vic at canceltheshow.com. We can do it. We got a lot of great things going here, still working with the set, coming up with new ideas. It will get better as well. And we're grateful for your patience. I know we've missed a lot, but we'll get into that over the next couple days.
That's right.
So thank you again. Thank you. That does it for what we call the fastest 2 hours in podcasting. My God, was that a fast over 2 hours?
Really fast.
Woo! That's what we do. For Pro Joe and Lizzie Sparks, I'm Vic Faust. Have a great day, everybody.